Hi, I'm Madara. I'm a Ph.D. candidate at the University of Waterloo studying Public Health and Gerontology.
Hi, my name is Amita. I'm the founder and president of Pawsitive Sanctuary, the organization which rescues stray dogs of India.
Amita is not only the founder of Pawsitive Sanctuary, but she's also a freelance project accountant. And she is Mrs. South Asia Canada 2018. Welcome to Sagacity, Amita.
Thank you so much, Madara. It's a pleasure.
I can't wait for everyone to hear about what you are doing with Pawsitive Sanctuary. The organization does a lot of things that makes my heart really happy. So let's start with what the organization is, what Pawsitive Sanctuary does, and what its objective is.
So I'll give you a little background. I've been in Canada for a very long time, and I went to India in 2019. And my hometown, Amritsar, it's in northern part of India in a province called Punjab. So it's a small town, maybe smaller than that, maybe as big as downtown Toronto. And it has, at that time, it had over 50,000 stray dogs, like the population of 50,000 stray dogs. So in 15 minutes of morning walk with my husband, I saw 6 dogs dying in front of me, and I couldn't do anything. I was just crying. Like, I saw little puppies crawling. I saw, a couple of dogs full covered with flies. They're at their deathbed, and people are numb to it. Nobody's doing anything. And there was no hospital. I came back. I was crying. I Googled. There was no shelter, no hospital, or where you can keep your dog overnight or any that kind of facility. So then I decided that, you know what, I want to do something. I want to help. So that's how Pawsitive Sanctuary came into existence. I wasn't sure how can I start something by sitting, in Toronto. Especially during COVID time, it was hard for me to travel or that, things like that. But, as they say, when you have a right intention and passion, things align. And that's exactly what happened. I met few people who were local animal activists. And then that's how I started. And then I hired a staff. It was just like one thing after another. So it got lined up. So Pawsitive Sanctuary was started. We started actually working in 2020 March, but I got my registration as a society in India as a nonprofit in August 2020. And since then, we have rescued over 3,000 stray dogs. We have an on-road service where our paravet goes and provides the free first aid to stray dogs. So let's say if somebody is an animal lover and they saw a dog in distress, so they will call us and we will provide free medical support. And for the dogs who cannot survive on the streets, disabled, paralyzed, pregnancy issues, tumor, you call it, we get all sort of cases, and then we bring them to our shelter. So that's the idea. But at the same time, we've been focusing on spaying and neutering too, because that's the root cause. So on an average, every month, we're doing like almost 300 dogs spayed and neutered.
Okay. Yeah. So you already answered my next question, which was, what are the services that you provide? Are there any other services that that Pawsitive Sanctuary provide to stray animals?
Yeah, we in India, it's very hard to find true animal lovers who actually want to give a home and family to any stray dogs. So the problem that we were facing that, let's say we pick up a small puppy who is paralyzed. After love care treatment, they start walking, but now they lost their street survival skills. We can't lead them back on their streets because they grew up with us, right? So it might take 5 or 6 months. So we were facing really a big issue. So that's when we decided that I'm going to find adopter families who want to give a new life and home to rescue dog in Toronto and then I'm going to fly those dogs who are who've been with us for a very long time. So that's when Toronto, helped me really. There, I got, I think in almost 2 years, I got like 16 dogs adopted in Toronto. Yeah, and 2 in US and 16 in Toronto. Yeah, so that was good. That's yeah, that's like a really big satisfaction that okay, one life has changed. When you see all these dogs coming from dirty drains and starving or facing accidents and cruelty, and then you see here your dog's picture with a Christmas tree and Santa, and you feel, oh my God, what a difference. It was all worth it. It's all worth it. The stress and miserable nights that you have dealing with people, and it's not easy. It's not easy. Something like sitting in North America and running something in India or other Asian countries. But it's worth it when you see one life has changed. So that's what keeps me going.
Definitely. And I have more questions about the how of running Pawsitive Sanctuary, but we'll get to that in a short bit. I saw some photos of Hira, which was the last pup that was brought from India to Canada. What's his story?
Oh, that was heartbreaking. It just brought tears in my eyes when we rescued Hira. So we got a call saying that this mother, we named her Nana. I still remember Hira's mother's name. She had some problem in her eyes, so she needed a surgery. There were some feeders and caretakers who were taking care of that mother, Nana. So we got the surgery done. We rescued her. We kept her, in our shelter. We gave her post-op. And when she got better, we went to drop her back to the caretakers. And then they told us a really tragic story that Nana gave birth to 7 puppies recently. And out of 7, 3 died. And 4 puppies were packed in a sack and relocated like 25, 30 kilometers far in a village by their neighbor who did not like having more dogs on their street because they feel, they're making a mess. So the neighbor did that, and that's it. So my team told me and that this is what happened. And I said, oh, this is horrible. So I spoke to the neighbor. I threatened him with the police. I said, if you don't tell me where the puppies are, we're going to make some arrangements. And then he told us the location. And then my team went to that location. They couldn't find any puppies there. So they came back. And then 3 days after, my team went back again. And sure enough, there was one tiny puppy who was hiding in a drain. It was a dry kind of drain, and he was hiding. He was stuck or something, and he was crying nonstop. So then locals told my team that there were 4 puppies a week ago, and 3 of them died. Next day, got crushed by vehicles. And he's the only one who survived, but past 2 days, he was stuck in a drain. So then my team, got that puppy out, and that puppy was Hira. Mm-hmm. So we brought Hira back to our shelter, but Nana, their mother, she did not accept Hira, because for stray dogs, or I think for any animal, when the puppies are away for too long, the mothers sometimes don't accept them back. So Nana did not care about Hira. So we got her spayed too. So in the future, there's no problem like that. And we had to keep Hira because there was no other way. We couldn't leave him back just on the random spots. He was too little. So and Hira grew up with us. And then this wonderful family in Bolton, Ontario, they contacted me. I posted Hira on our Instagram that he's available for adoption. And sure enough, they loved Hira. And my nephew was coming from New Delhi, so he volunteered as a flight volunteer, and boom, like Hira was here within like 2 weeks. And now he has a sibling. His name is Enzo, and I get their videos all the time. He had his own stocking around Christmas, so it's just so beautiful to see that he was stuck in that dirty drain. He could have died there and nobody would have cared. So now his life has changed forever. So yeah, that's the story of Hira.
That's a beautiful story. And here are some before and after photos of Hira for you guys. As you were telling the story, there were a couple of questions that came to my mind. How many people are actually involved in Pawsitive Sanctuary over there in India?
Oh, right now we have a vet, and I think I was just actually calculating because I was sending all the salaries, so that's what I was calculating. So I have now 12 people on payroll.
Okay.
So 12 people, that includes caretakers, vet, manager, sweepers, cook, and yeah. And then we have a separate orthopedic surgeon too, who does all the fracture surgeries as required. So yeah, so we have around 12 to 13 people. Yeah.
It must be a lot of work though for 12 people, right? I mean,
yeah, currently we have like 100 dogs. So, and new cases keep coming in, right? Like even just, for instance, today we got 2 paralyzed babies. We got one who was bitten by other dogs. We got one pregnant mother who couldn't deliver. So the puppies died in her womb. So she was quite serious. So we keep getting like an ongoing admissions, like 5 or 6 every day. So yeah, it's a sad situation there.
I understand. I have stories too from Sri Lanka, when I went there, just like you, for visits.
Yeah.
Many stories. But coming back to Pawsitive Sanctuary, how many branches are there in India so far? Is it just the first one?
Yeah, it's only the first one in Amritsar, Punjab. But at the same time, what I try to do, like if I know somebody's really genuinely working in India and they're running short of food, or they needed somebody, like for instance, today we sponsored, a cat spaying surgery in Mumbai. So we just keep doing a few things in different parts of India. Like if animal feeders contact us, or some neuter spaying surgery, or some tumor surgery. So we try to help those, local animal activists. Yeah.
Great, wonderful. I hope it expands even further.
Thank you. Me too.
It will. I mean, you're putting a lot of hard work into it, so eventually it'll get there. You mentioned salaries, so that takes me to my next question. Where do the funds come from? Pawsitive Sanctuary, is it mostly charity based? Who are the donors? If you don't mind sharing with us that information, tell us.
Yeah, for sure. So in the beginning, when I started, everything was going from my own pocket. Me and my husband were supporting it. And in the beginning, actually, it was quite a bit money because, you had to set up everything, right? I needed to buy solar panels. I needed to buy a lot of things like crates, big crates, everything, right? So in the beginning, yes, it was 100% me and my husband. But then we started promoting it on Instagram and social media. So then a lot of local people in Toronto, or I would say actually North America, and even we have some followers in Europe. So then I started getting some donations. So now, but the thing with donations are unpredictable. But my payroll, I can't tell my dogs in the shelter, hey, I didn't get enough donation today, so sorry, I'm not feeding you, or something like that, right? I mean, so they are my responsibility. My employees and my dogs in my shelter are my responsibility. So it depends. Some are good months, I get good donations. Some months are not good. So then I try and, as I said before, I'm a freelancer, so I try to get more clients so that I could just, pay for the shelter. So this is what I do. But I shouldn't be complaining. As I said, there are some. I made really some good friends because of Pawsitive Sanctuary. I started talking to them, and they're true animal lovers, so they don't mind supporting me. So yeah, and we actually got chosen by SPCA International last year, and I got a grant of $3,000. So that was really good. Yeah, so we keep doing stuff, as we're doing it with all our heart and passion. So there's that supreme power that's watching, and they send help.
Of course.
That's what's happening. Yeah.
Congratulations on the grant. I saw that.
Thank you. Yeah, we were featured on their page. Yeah.
On Google.
So that was good.
Google Pawsitive Sanctuary, it comes up. Great, wonderful. And I still have more questions about the costs. I mean, when you're bringing dogs from India to Canada, that must be expensive. How much does it cost to cover that sort of arrangement, and also other services that you provide in India?
So there are two totally different aspects. So let's talk about services provided in India. So we have medication, food, salaries, utilities, transportation, and then extra comes like surgeries and that kind of stuff. So right now currently it's costing me around, let's say, $4,000 to $4,500 every month. So I want to expand, of course. I want to hire a full-time vet who will focus on neutering and spaying surgeries. So, but as the resources will increase, that's my next target now. That's what that town really needs. The town full of like 50, 60,000 stray dogs, right? So that's the focus. And there's a cost involved to bring the dogs to Canada, of course. And I can't, there are two types of transportation. One, if the dog is flying as a cargo with no flight volunteer. And second, if there is a flight volunteer and they agree to fly the dog with them. So with flight volunteer, it costs a lot less. Which adopter family doesn't mind paying, because at the end of the day, the dog is coming fully vaccinated, neutered or spayed as needed, anti-rabies, lepto, whatever the Canadian requirements are, the dog has all of them. So instead of like adoption fee, I just tell them, hey, you know what, if you can pay the transportation charges, that way I don't charge any adoption fee. I don't get to keep anything for the shelter. But I just feel that if adopter is willing to pay the transportation charges, it's good enough for me. And there are some adopters, who will come to me, oh no, I can't pay this much, this is too high. Then I'll just pitch in from my pocket. Because to me, it's very important that the dog needs to be with the family and not in the shelter. Healthy dogs don't belong to any shelter. They need families. So that's the reason. Yeah.
And around how much is that if the dog is flying with a volunteer, without a volunteer?
Okay. So if the dog is flying with a flight volunteer, it costs around $1,100 Canadian.
Okay.
And if the dog is flying as a cargo with no flight volunteer, it costs around 2,800 Canadian.
Okay. Thank you.
It includes all the paperwork, transportation. We use this company in New Delhi who does this on an everyday basis, and they're very good, very professional, thorough. They make sure that the dog is comfortable. They walk the dog right before the flight, and they send you all those updates. So they do charge for their services. So this includes everything. So 1,100 or 2,800.
Got it. Great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It is no easy task to build a reputable nonprofit organization and to run it. So what are some of the challenges that you came across since the day you had the idea of Pawsitive Sanctuary to today?
Oh, you know what? I would be very honest. Um, the biggest challenge I faced, it was dealing with people in India with their mindset. It was the biggest challenge. It still is. It still is. Uh, First of all, everybody thinks, oh my God, she's sitting in Canada. What does she care? She doesn't know anything, blah, 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 right? So everybody's trying to, well, I wouldn't say everybody, but most of people, they're just trying to rip you off. So I have to be very, very careful that, if I'm sending the funds, it's going to the cause that I'm sending for and not in somebody's pocket, right? So that part I have to be very careful. And just even the general mindset, like I get so many complaints that, you know what, ma'am, we're local feeders. These people just, harass us. I see day to day those kind of issues that, people don't want other people to walk their pets on the streets because they think even the pets are making it dirty. So just seeing that, understanding that, and even if we got actually 2 or 3 dogs adopted in India, they will take the dog, and next time when we send our team to check on them, they had the dog tied outside their house to guard their property. And I got my dogs back. I said, this is not my idea of adoption. If you can't keep the dog inside with you on your couch, there's a problem. I'm not giving these dogs to you to guard your properties. So those are the challenges that, I have helped 45 healthy dogs right now in the shelter, but no adopters because everybody in India wants breed dog. They don't want stray dogs. So this breed, there's so much fuss about this breed. The other day, I posted a dog for adoption, and a gentleman messaged me and said, "Which breed is this?" He couldn't even spell breed. It said bread, but they know is like they want a breed. And the sad part is, even when they buy breeds, they can't take care of them. Every other day, I hear about dogs who are being abandoned on the streets of Amritsar. And this is just one city, Amritsar. There's so many places in India.
Tiny,
They
tiny
will just,
in India.
yeah, it's a tiny piece in India. And just from Amritsar, I just got beautiful Labrador this morning in their family after 4 years. They want to give her up. I don't understand that mindset. How can you just give up your dog or any animal or any pet? You won't give up on your family or your kids. Why on a voiceless soul? So that's that challenge. I face that almost every day. I ask myself a lot of questions, never get answers. Sometimes I do. It's just the mental fatigue, that you call compassion fatigue that I've been facing recently. But I try to keep myself busy then, focus on my work and family because there's nothing we could do to save them all. I wish I could save them all, but now I have to be satisfied with few at a time. So that's the challenge.
You mentioned a very good point, which is the mindset of people. I want to talk a little bit more about that. I have a question about that. We'll come back to that in a little bit. I hear you as someone who cares about animal welfare. I have had those same feelings. And like you said, it's hard doing the right thing. It's very hard dealing with all of what you're going through every day to stay with your objective. It takes a lot of energy. So I mean, Amita, thank you so much. I know exactly what you mean though, because sometimes I see Pawsitive Sanctuary's Instagram posts and even keeping yourself updated with those stories, which are sometimes hard to watch because of what those animals go through. It's hard some days for me to actually watch them. I cannot do it every day. So
you'll be surprised. Sorry to cut you off. You'll be surprised that I don't post all those videos in detail. You know what I mean? Where it's too graphic, I just crop that because I know people can't handle it. Like even I wake up and I have like 200 messages on my WhatsApp, videos, pictures from India. Like, this is how I start my morning. So yeah, it's not easy. Whoever is doing it, hats off to them. I try my best, but now I realize that people in animal welfare, it's just not easy to see voiceless souls going through that torture and cruelty.
Amita, I mean, I appreciate every single minute of your time that you put into Pawsitive Sanctuary. I've tried to do things too for animal welfare, but it's very difficult. I do as much as I can, but I know the struggle and I appreciate every single thing you do. So now we talked a little bit of challenges that you've come across. What are some of the support that you've received to bring Pawsitive Sanctuary into action?
Oh, to start with, the biggest support, I would say my husband and family, like my daughters and my husband. There are, I think it's almost every day. I wake up like around, let's say, 5:36 a.m. and I'm working on Pawsitive Sanctuary until noon, 1 o'clock. I'm on phone calls with India, my staff, getting updates. If I have 100 dogs, I know each and everybody's story and each and everybody's name, you know? So just to keep up with that, of course, I need to spend time. And which means that time is taken away from my family and work. So work, I still try to catch up. Let's say I start my work, around noon and I can keep working till 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, which means I'm taking that evening time from my family. So they support me like, 100%. My daughter's actually, she made the website because, we were short on funds. So she made the website and she launched this Instagram too. So that was good. So they support me. And then the other support that I get from my staff in India. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do much, right? So everybody in all my staff in India, like, whether they're vets or even sweeper who's just there to clean up poop and pee, everybody, like, I'm thankful I get good support from them. And one last thing, support from my donors. Like, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to support this on my own completely as of today. Like, to support, people, 13 people on salary, food, medicines, surgeries. Like, we have 20 paralyzed kids, so we just got the carts. We ordered the carts. We needed a doggy wheelchair. So this all costs money. And if it wasn't for my donors and supporters in North America, in Europe, that would be a problem. So thank you. That's the biggest support. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you, everyone, for having supported Pawsitive Sanctuary so far. Any other support? For example, do you have any support from Indian government bodies, for example, or other?
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish. That's the problem. That's why people like myself who don't even live in India, in sitting here, and they're worrying about the situation and condition of animals there. Like, I should be worried about, Canada is my home, so I should be worried about, which I do, but at the same time, their condition is worse, so I wanted to do something. But if government was actually doing something, then we didn't need to. Sadly, there is no funding. There's absolutely no financial help. If anything, they make it hard for you. Because when we contact them, they say, "Oh, it's just an animal. What do you care?" Like, there's so many people who need you, or who need your help, or who need money. Why are you spending on stray dogs? That's the mindset. Even most of the cops, any government body. The other day, I got a phone call. Actually, I had a recording somebody was sending me, and there was a government official in animal welfare board, and he was saying, "Oh, so we just keep the limited number of dogs in one area, and then rest we send them to the shelter. And I said, what shelter are they talking about? Like, shelter is not for healthy 40,000 stray dogs. Shelter is to give shelter to dogs in distress. But because he cared about humans so much for their comfort, he was willing to relocate those dogs to any random shelter. A lot of time it happens when people complain about stray dogs, municipality truck comes, they take those dogs to a jungle and let them starve to death. That I'm talking about government municipality. It didn't happen in Amritsar. It happened in another part of India. I think it was in Delhi, and they actually picked them up in most cruel way, and they leave them back in the jungle so that they starve to death. Instead of poison will be expensive, instead of poisoning them or killing them in front of people, that's what they do. They just pick them up. So there is absolutely, coming back to that point, there is absolutely no support from any government body. There's only one MP, Mrs. Maneka Gandhi, who actually helps, local animal activists, like local, what I'm saying, it's Indian, people helping people who want to help animals in India. And sometimes they go through a lot of harassment, or so then they contact Mrs. Maneka Gandhi, or they see some cruelty video happening and they make a video and then they send it to Mrs. Gandhi, and then she arranges, police officials and stuff to take an action. The problem with cruelty in India is just that there's no punishment. There's no strict law. So forget about helping local animal activists or shelters like us. Forget about, don't help. But at least make some strict laws so people are scared to do that kind of animal cruelty. You know what kind of I get cases like where boiling water, boiling oil, somebody chops the front legs, somebody chops the back legs, somebody rapes, somebody throws color chemicals on it. Like, there's, you name it, you can't even imagine, and then you read about it that's happening. They just chopping a stray dog, such a common thing, and people are so numb, like it's normal. So I think that's one thing India and countries like India really needs, having some strict laws and punishment so people are scared to do something like that. Otherwise, there's no end to it. It will keep happening. It will keep happening. And again, the number of animal haters or dog haters in India are a lot more than a number of animal lovers. In India, the number of stray population is over 50 million. 50 million. It includes, I've seen from my own eyes, I've seen from, garbage piles, I've seen pigs, horses, cows, dogs, cats, everybody eating, and they're all stray animals I'm talking about. So, which again, I feel that, India population is approximately 1.5 billion. So if they really want to take care, they can take care of 50 million animals. But there's no system, there's no logic, there's no organization of these things. People who have money in India, they have way too much money, but they don't want to spend on this kind of welfare. I often think and talk to people, like, there's so many big celebrities with so much money in India, and you see, you see their airport looks or their whatever videos and reels. If you see, everybody's carrying a designer purse, maybe $5,000, $6,000. I know it's none of my business, but then I just ask myself this question: that all these people, they travel to Western countries, and they see how people treat animals with so much compassion here. I'm not saying that cruelty doesn't happen. It happens everywhere. Don't get me wrong. But it's just majority of the population is compassionate towards animals. And when they go bad, and they see so many things happening there. Do they not want to bring any change? How do they sleep? How do how do they not do anything about it? It's human nature. So I don't know. I juggle, I ask myself a lot of questions, and I juggle with these kind of things a lot. Sorry, I'm totally off topic because I
Oh,
have just
no.
so much to talk about. And you asked me one thing, and I just don't know which direction I'm going into. But coming back to the same point, I really, really wish that Indian government or all those government, whether it's Pakistan or any Asian country, government needs to have strict laws. We have in Indian constitution, the animal welfare laws is still the same, which when British was ruling India, and they made the laws, and it's the same. There's no change in that law. There was 50 rupees penalty at that time. In today's date, it's still 50 rupees. And just to give you an idea, 50 rupees in India doesn't even buy you a loaf of bread. Its loaf of bread is more expensive. So imagine I kill a dog, I come home, I pay 50 rupees, and boom, I'm, ready to do it again. And I just feel that people with this kind of mindset, they are harmful to society of people too. That's why there's so many killings, rapes, people who can harm animals, they can harm humans too. So if you don't, nip that bud like in the beginning, that's when you're encouraging those people to make bigger crimes in society. So that's how I feel.
Amita, you apologized for touching on different points, but they were all really relevant, valid points. The different mindset that we see over there, I can relate to everything that you say. I can relate because I have experience visiting Sri Lanka, reading and being aware of what happens in terms of animal welfare in Sri Lanka. Every single thing applies. One good thing that Sri Lanka actually did recently was passing an animal welfare bill, which, people fought for it for a long time.
Yeah.
Finally happened. But we have to see if you know how in countries that are corrupted, there is a law, but it doesn't really do anything. We'll have to see what happens. And I think it is every citizen's responsibility to push for those laws to pass and decision makers to actually take actions of following those laws. And to everything you said, I mean, it's such a sad situation, but please don't change the way you think. Because, you brought up the celebrity example. How do they not apply what you see here to there? I mean, I think there's deeper psychology that we can talk about that. It's going to be a different whole other conversation.
Yeah.
But the way you think, you see something here and you want to apply it over there.
Yeah.
That's the right way to think about any kind of issue. This is what I go through too. And then the challenges that you face when you try to do that, it's never ending. But at least you have that understanding. So please don't change. I think you're on the right path.
And you know what the sad part is? Sorry, what the sad part is when you go to India or Sri Lanka or any those countries, they try to follow Western culture in everything, whether it's dressing, food, drinks, drugs, sex, everything they try to follow the Western culture, right? Other than any good part. Like there's always the drinks, wine culture. Like when we were growing up, there was no wine in India. It's they follow everything, but they just don't follow the right stuff.
It's the surface stuff.
It's the surface. It's the materialistic. It's not the deeper stuff not the deeper stuff that's being followed. Yeah, for sure.
It's true. I think one thing to point out there is one of the reasons why is there because people do think that if you travel to a country, I don't know, spend a year or so, that you got everything from there. But that's also not true all the time. You do have to spend and interact with people in that other location for some time to actually analyze and pick out the right genuinely right actions, how people are thinking to actually change, make a systemic change. So, I mean, I think developing countries or Asian countries, some like Sri Lanka and India, I'll speak for those, are missing that point. Interact with people here in a sense that you actually get to know the core, the good stuff. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why what you mentioned is happening. Anyway, I'm also going a little off track here. Let's get back on track. So the next question is, you've talked about the challenges and the support you have, but in addition to having financial and technical support, you still need a certain kind of drive, a motivation to implement something like this and move forward every day. As you said, seeing everything that you see, all the messages that you get, you need some sort of motivation and drive. What is your motivation, and how do you keep going every day?
You know what my motivation is? When a paralyzed dog who had been dragging himself on the streets to find some food scraps and stuff, when we bring him to our shelter, and with love, care, and treatment, he starts walking and running. That's my motivation. It's out of this world. It's like it makes me feel high. Like, I just feel, wow, to be able to change one life or even touch one life close enough to make a little bit difference. That's what keeps me going. Before this shelter, I always wondered, what's the purpose? Why am I on this earth? Why am I on this planet? There's got to be something. We can't just be born and become somebody's daughter and wife and mother and grandmother, and then we die and we work, we make money, we pay for our expenses, and then we die. So there's got to be purpose. I just never had it. I never knew. But I always kept wondering. And when I changed one life, I just knew right away that this is my purpose. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about it. Sometimes I joke about it. If it was, if I were this kind of passionate about my career or anything else, I would be rich by now. But that wouldn't be that satisfactory. You know what? Doesn't matter how rich or how comfortable you are. I think you need to have a purpose. And otherwise you just keep wondering why. That's, I think, human curiosity. And that's what happened to me too. But now I don't even have time. I just feel one life change, second life change. Okay, if the dog is in really bad shape and he dies, I'm upset for 2 days, that we tried and he couldn't survive. But then I see other 80 lives who are saved, because of this shelter, or other 100 lives that we can touch. And then I keep going.
A lot of people actually, they do want to help animals, but sometimes they don't know where to begin and how. What advice would you give to people who want to start an NGO to help animals?
Oh, I just, I have a cousin who was really inspired, and she said, I really wanted to do something like that. And that day, I was really upset and disturbed about something. I said, you know what? You just take over. You take this Pawsitive Sanctuary over, because I was so like done with people, managing people. It gets so hard sometimes. So that's, beside that joke, I would say just start with something little. Just start helping dogs outside your house, dogs outside, in your street. Just feed them, take care of them, keep an eye on their wounds or any dog bites or any accident, neuter and spay them. And that's it. That you don't even need to open any NGO in India or other Asian countries if you take care of your dogs in your area. So, if somebody really wants to open an NGO or shelter like that, my strong advice is just be present there. You have to live there. You have to live in your own shelter to be able to run it smoothly. Because that's one challenge I face. I just feel so helpless that I'm sitting here, and if I know there is a case and I don't have any staff to go in the middle of the night or something, then I feel, oh my God, I wish if I were there. I could have done it. I would have done it this way or that way. So it's always important to be present where your shelter is. But yeah, start helping. So start feeding. This is what I did in 2019 when I went to India. My in-laws' family is still in Amritsar, so I was just feeding the dogs on the street. And then when I started my shelter, I picked up those dogs and I got them adopted in Toronto because I developed a bond while feeding them. So I didn't want to leave them there. So now two of them are in Toronto, adopted by wonderful families. Yeah.
Wonderful. Lovely. No, 100%. My next question was, what advice would you give to people who just want to help? And you already answered that. Start with your surroundings. And that's what I said too. That's what we do too. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's where you have to start.
That's it.
Yeah.
Especially when it's not hard to find. You leave your door and there are hundreds of animals who need help. So if you see some cruelty happening, raise your voice, stop it. And that's not even animal activists. That's the right human in their right frame of mind would do. That's the humanity. That's the compassion that a human being is supposed to have. So that's the basic courtesy. So, I see a lot of people making videos, posting them, and making them viral, that this dog was being dragged by this motorcycle or car. And a lot of time people do that. They drag the animals with the rope with their fast moving vehicle. So I always wonder that you are making a video.
Who has the time?
Yeah, who has the time? Like, I wouldn't even think about it. I would just simply go and try and save the animal.
Yeah.
But they're just too scared to be involved in any sort of controversy or to be involved with the police. They're just too scared. A lot of people contact me and say, oh, this is what's happening, they're doing this cruelty, but my name should not come anywhere because they're my neighbors. They will fight with us, they'll pick a fight, they will be very nasty with us, and blah blah blah.
People are missing the big picture.
So, yeah. And I say, hey, if you don't have guts to raise your voice, then how do you expect me to help you by sitting here where you are and you not even able to raise your voice? It doesn't make any sense. But start with little and start strong. Don't be scared of other people who try and harass you. And don't be scared of people who do animal cruelty, because obviously they are too cowards to raise their voice or weapon on a voiceless soul. So they're cowards, I would say. So just raise your voice instead of making a video.
Of course. Yeah. I've thought the same thing when I see the videos. How do you not react just like that? The next question I have is actually, in your opinion, how can we eliminate animal cruelty from the society? What would you say your top 3 ways of eliminating animal cruelty from the society?
I would say first and foremost, strict animal laws. I think that there is a chance that will scare people in order to do something. And then second is the awareness. Awareness in these kind of society is very, very important. When kids are being taught in the school, there should be a subject on this kind of compassion or animals or social service, where kids are being taught how to be compassionate at a very young age. and they can go home and they can teach their parents who are old school when they kick a dog out, or when they, pelt stones to shoo them away. There was this case 2-3 days back I read, a bank employee put like red chili powder, lot of red chili powder outside their bank building, and because there was a Porsche kind of thing, and it was raining heavily, so he didn't want any dog to take shelter under that porch. So he just spread the thing with red chili powder. Now that person must be in his 50s, you know? So that means when he was growing up, he was never taught how to be compassionate towards other souls. So that's one thing that's really missing in the society, that we focus on, science, math, and everything. I'm not saying those things are not important. It's important. Sports are important, but this subject is really important too. And the awareness of neutering and spaying. I know so many educated people in India who don't even know that this can be done. That this can be done. And it's like 10-15 minutes surgery will save, not only save your dog that you're feeding or taking care of, but it will save you from, looking at all those little puppies being crushed by vehicles. It will save you from that, what do you call, that suffering, So it's not only good for dogs, it's good for people. So I would say just focus on neutering and spaying, animals of your area. And there's another cruelty that I have seen that I would like to touch. It's not about dogs, but the cows. The dairy industry is the most cruel industry. Is the most cruel industry I've seen. Um, Cows who can provide milk, they're just dumped on the road. There's so many cows on the street of India who are just wandering for food. They go in the garbage. They eat plastic bags because people just dump plastic bags. There's batteries in that plastic bag. So one cow, she chewed on battery and she had a blast. So she died. So many things happening to cows, smuggling for the leather. One thing I just never understand, that in India, cows are sacred animal. It's supposed to be mother. Cow is supposed to be worshipped. But if you look at the stats, it's the biggest beef exporter in the world. India is the biggest beef. So there's so many contradictions. I know it's all about money, politics at the end of the day. Maybe I shouldn't touch those topics. Maybe I should. I don't know. But since it's you, I will.
I mean, it's very relevant. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. It's animal cruelty that bothers me. Having milk from a cow, maybe in a humane way, wouldn't bother me. But when I see you're separating one day calf from the mother so that you can sell milk, that bothers me. So again, it comes back to awareness, greed, that kind of thing. So having strict laws would really help too. So that dairy people know that they can't just dump their cows on the streets whenever they want to, because otherwise the action will be taken, right?
100%. You mentioned creating awareness and teaching compassion and kindness to kids. That's it. That is the solution to not just ending animal cruelty, but every other kind of cruelty as well. If a human being is able to understand this helpless animal actually feels pain and we should not abuse them, if they feel that, if they have the ability to understand that, then of course they understand that humans go through the same thing. I think that's the solution to a lot of problems, and ending animal cruelty as well. Like you said, I've seen animal abuses, but even subtle ones, the people don't even call them animal abuses. For example, in Sri Lanka, when I was visiting, I befriended a cat, neighbor's cat. So she would come over and visit me like all the time. She was walking towards me one day and coming over just to play. And there was a lady who was cleaning around the house, and she was drinking some water, and she had some water left in her cup. She just threw it at the cat. And I'm just like, what was the need for that? And the cat obviously did not like it. It was just minding its own business and just walking towards me. So even that, like, it is not a necessary action, but that person was not able to understand that.
Yeah.
It's probably something that they saw others doing when they were young.
Yeah.
They said, don't do that. So it keeps happening.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, I mean, for anyone who is watching, please start it in your home. Teach your children how to treat animals.
Exactly.
Babies don't know anything. You see on TikTok, some babies are pinching an animal or pulling a tail. That's when you fix it. They didn't know that it's
wrong.
There's the opportunity to fix it. I mean, it's not that complicated. The answer is simple. You start from home when they're young for a lot of things, not just animal cruelty, for every other problem we actually have. But people have made it complicated by just simply not doing it. So thank you for bringing that up. And I hope somebody agrees and listens to what we're trying to say here. We talked about a lot of changes that could happen in India. What about Canada? As you said, we still see animal cruelty incidents here as well. It's not as many as we see back in Asian countries, but we see some. What do you think we could do in Canada? What are some systemic changes that we could maybe make to further improve what we already have? In addition to the kindness thing, I think that is actually the solution.
And as I said before, a majority of the population is compassionate. But again, there are few plants like I've read it. I've never visited it, but that's why they say if slaughterhouses were made of glass, nobody will eat meat. So sometimes I read the stories how in slaughterhouses animals are being abused first and then killed or slaughtered. Then again, it's the same mindset. If you are going to kill that animal, what's the point of, they're already scared enough. They're already scared to death. What's the point of abusing them first and hurting them? You got to be really sadist to do that kind of stuff. So I just feel that even if they have license to kill animals, sadly, there should be some laws that it needs to be done maybe in a humane way. Not that I'm supporting anything like that. I don't eat meat or anything. But again, yes. So that part, and then I got a call from Toronto. Actually, somebody had tied their dog in their balcony, in like -20, and the dog stayed day and night in the balcony. And then I made a lot of calls, but they have their own protocol. And I was like, oh, no, you need to go do it right now. No, ma'am, we'll go within 48 hours. What are you waiting for 48 hours? The dog is going to die. Like, you need to go now. Like, that kind of thing. So I understand there's a process and procedure that they work with. But I just feel if an animal is in distress and they need immediate attention, it needs to happen right then, right away. So that's another thing I would say. Other than that, we don't see stray animals here in Canada. So if you don't see it, to you, it's not happening. It's happening, but at a smaller level, maybe behind the walls that we don't know of, maybe in slaughterhouses that people don't want to know of. And that's it. Yeah. So there's always room for improvement. I just feel that when they receive a phone call or anything, if somebody's reporting, the action needs to be taken right away. We don't have to wait till the animal dies or something. So yeah.
Definitely. And there's a lot of other places too. There's a lot of like places like Humane Society. They're also advocating for updating animal welfare bills here as well, which is, I mean, the thing to appreciate here is that there's more people working towards
Yes.
animal welfare.
So many people volunteer. You know, in India, like I'm running this whole shelter, not even one person goes as a volunteer. Not even everybody is on salary.
Yeah.
So it's just really good thing about here is just so many people are willing to volunteer and they look forward to it. It's like a therapy, I think. It's like a therapy. It's good for your mental health, physical health. When you volunteer, you help somebody, whether it's for humans or animals, it's like a therapy. But,
yeah, I think it's
a
also
lot of people don't understand.
it's I think it's a result of sort of actually understanding what life is all about.
Yeah.
If you have not really realized that, it's a little bit tough to see the purpose and why of volunteering and doing good things for no reason.
Yeah, no, for sure. I know.
Raising awareness, talking about things like this, and not to make anyone feel bad. It is a process. Maybe you're not there yet, but
yeah,
being aware that, you know, that is what needs to happen. That is what one needs to realize. And listen to conversations like this, even if it's a little uncomfortable, maybe, because maybe you're not there yet. But that is the process. It doesn't mean that because you're not there today, you won't get there or you're a bad person. You will just have to talk with people, listen to others' ideas.
Oh, you know, be open. Be open. Like, you know, don't.
Yeah, definitely. And my last question is maybe a little bit controversial. Some people think that they feel guilty because they are not a vegetarian yet, and so they feel a little hesitant to speak up for animal welfare causes. And I've seen this as well. I've seen where the other party, if you're having an argument or a conversation, the opposing party would say something like, "Well, what do you say? You eat animals." They try to make you feel guilty when you're advocating for animal welfare cause. So my question is, does one really have to be a vegetarian in order to be an advocate for animal welfare and ending animal cruelty? What is your opinion on that?
You know what? I would say there is no hard and fast rule, right? It has to come from within. I will tell you about myself, and you're gonna laugh at me. I was never a dog lover. I, you know, I was not cruel or anything, but I wasn't very comfortable, you know, having dogs around me. And when we got our first dog, because of my daughter, she really wanted a dog, and now I consider, you know, our Snowy is our son. Like he sleeps with me, and you know, he's just like he's the highlight of my life. And I just feel so bad that why did I deprive myself and my daughter from this pleasure, you know, for so many years. So before Snowy came into our lives, I was eating chicken. Okay. I was never a big meat eater, but yeah, a little piece of chicken here and there I would take, or even a milk product. But when I started like loving and protecting and taking care of Snowy, I just couldn't justify in my head and heart that I'm loving one animal so much and the other is on my plate. I just couldn't. It just grossed me out for some reason, and that's it. Then I quit. And I know a lot of people who would do anything, and they're the nicest people. They're the nicest people on the earth, and who would do anything for their pets, but they don't mind eating, you know, meat or. And it doesn't mean, as you said, that they're bad people. They're very good people. And again, if the point that I said, if slaughterhouses walls were made of glass, nobody would eat meat. But I think they don't want to go past, you know, past that. I think it's the culture too. Like they grow up with this kind of so, but it doesn't mean that they're bad people. It doesn't mean that they, you know, if you're an animal advocate, you're gonna pick fights with them, with people who are eating meat or chicken or any sort of fish or. So I think, as you mentioned, it's their own journey. It has to come from within. If it comes, good enough. If not, other vegetarian or vegan people will keep raising awareness, and who knows, maybe one day it won't happen. Um, but yeah, I would not say that they need to quit right away. Or if you're advocating for animals, you can't eat chicken or anything. If you feel like it, if you can justify in your heart, please eat. If you can't, then there's no point.
And don't stop advocating for animal cruelty just because you're either
Yeah,
in the process
yeah,
of becoming a vegetarian or you're still eating meat. I mean, I have heard a lot of conversations about the difficulty in becoming a vegetarian for some people. It's perfectly valid. It's not
yeah,
easy being a student and being a
yeah,
vegetarian is a little bit tough. If you have limited income, it's
yeah,
tough.
yeah,
So it's not to make anyone feel guilty or bad. It's your process.
exactly. Yeah,
And it's just, you don't need to connect the two when it comes to advocating for animal cruelty or animal
right.
welfare or ending animal cruelty, sorry.
Yeah,
You don't have to be perfect before you start acting to end something as cruel as animal
right.
abuse. So that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And I think just wanted to
No,
put
you're so right. Yeah, you're so right about it. As I said, like it's a process, and you will get there when you get there. But you don't have to stop advocating animals just because you can't stop eat meat. Like,
exactly.
it will come.
People
It will
make
come eventually.
yeah, don't be offended or threatened by people calling you a hypocrite or
Yeah,
anything else. It's not that black and white for some people, and that's
yeah,
fine. Like you said, it's a personal
yeah.
journey. Can't really comment on other people's personal journey.
Exactly, exactly. It's and a lot of veganism is getting so popular now in North America, Europe. It's just like it's amazing how there, so many vegan restaurants and stuff like that. So it's happening. It's not going to happen overnight. It's maybe 40, 50, 60-year process. But it's happening. Like, compared to 20 years from now, before, and what was there? Nothing. Nobody knew what vegan was, right? I mean, vegetarian, yes, but nobody knew vegan what vegan was. Everybody was eating dairy products. But it's the awareness as it comes, as it has its own time, takes its own time, and things will happen. Strong believer.
Definitely, and the amount of work we put into it too, in terms of
Yeah,
like research and things like that. I look at food that replace meat. Sometimes it's
yeah,
just a lot of carbs, certain foods,
yeah, yeah,
and that's a barrier itself, right? So I mean, now we're talking about a different topic, but
yeah. I know,
just
but
put out
that's
there
okay. It's
as
all part of it.
Amita, we've come to the end of the interview. Do you have anything else that you would like to share with us?
Oh, first of all, just thank you for hearing me out. I know, as I warned you before, that when you asked me uh, these questions on animals, I take my own time and I just, go off topic. So I apologize for that.
No, no worries.
Um,
I'm not going to edit anything out.
but
It's going to go on the way it is.
but yeah, thank you so much. I mean, it was a pleasure to be able to um, talk about it, and to put myself out there in the difficulties and challenges and positive points, to discuss all the pros and cons. It was a pleasure. And just, I would say, keep supporting, and keep rescuing, and keep raising your voice for these voiceless souls. They don't have a voice. That's why we have to be their voice. So, yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. Thank you, Amita, so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Everyone,
Thank you, Madara. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here and taking the time.
Pleasure.
For
Pleasure.
everyone, before we both go, I just want to say also, please keep prevention in mind. Amita's doing a lot, as much as she can, with Pawsitive Sanctuary to treat. This is still a treatment when we're talking about prevention versus treatment.
Right.
well, we do come to an end with treatment. There are limitations. We don't have unlimited resources to keep doing it. So as we talked about prevention in our episode today, please keep taking actions to prevent animal abuse and animal cruelty, starting from your home with those who are young around you in your community. I think that's one of the highly potentially effective ways to actually tackle this issue. So everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope this episode today was something of use to you. So once again, Amita, thank you. And
thank you.
Everyone else, thank you for being here today. We will see you again next time. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.